Thank you. Thanks for coming. Bud.
Legendary. Who knew? Please, smack yourself at home.
Might want to have a little snack.
There you go. That's right.
You can have some.
Oh, thank you. That's good. That's good. I'll just get started here, and you.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm used to getting organized when I come on stage because I'm usually go into something that I forget where I am and where I left things.
That is true. People
have my way.
People remember those old shows at CBGB's for the organization.
I never was in shows in CBGB.
Oh,
well, maybe I was.
Yeah.
I think I jammed with Suicide.
Well, if you were not, then I have lied on television. Probably not the first time, because
There's a lot of that going around in journalism.
Yeah. I kind of asked for that. Because I do believe you would be the only person to have played at CBGB's, Café Carlyle, and yes, the Staten Island Jewish Community Center.
So far, but I have other plans.
So we know a little bit, or we think we know a little bit about those first two gigs, but for those of us who weren't there, bring us back to the gig at the Staten Island JCC. How old were you? What was the name of the band?
Well, I had a band, and I did a solo thing, which I always like to do. You know, it's nice to have a band, but sometimes it's nice to just play by yourself or with one other guy. You know what I mean? So I've kind of been like that my whole life. But I was in a band called the Vagabond Missionaries. Yes, we did like, funky Broadway, and if the song had one chord, it was really good. But then on Saturday night, they had Hoot Night at the JCC, so that wasn't really for bands. So I would go there and I would bring, have a guitar, or I would borrow one from one of the other Hoot participants, and I'd sing like Lead Belly or something like. Oh, Black Betty, bam-a-lamb, Black Betty had a baby, bam-a-lamb.
You were what, 12 at the time?
No, probably 15,
And how'd it go?
Oh, great, it was great.
There
was the Hoot, it was the Hoot craze, the Hoot Nanny craze. So some kids were like, would have like a Kingston Trio kind of thing going on, and some kids would have, like, some guys would be like, want to be like Dylan.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
You came from a musical family. Your father was classically trained, yes?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
So was music in the air growing up at home?
Oh, yeah. There was always music. There was music playing when I arrived. And I have an older brother and an older sister.
Right.
As well as 3 younger siblings. And they played a lot of music. My mother played a lot of music. My father played mostly classical, when he was young, he was like a classically trained singer. And he would do like Gilbert and Sullivan and stuff like that. And then he went in the war. I mean, he didn't go in the war. He was in the Army in South Carolina or something.
Hey, it was tough in South Carolina.
He was like way too handsome for them to put anywhere where he could get shot. So then when he came back, really, he had a kid already. So he had a kid during the war. So he had to start working for a living. So he didn't really pursue it that much, but he listened to a lot of great music, and also he used to go around to churches and synagogues and sing in services. He knew like the liturgy of like every religion, like all the Protestant religions, all kinds of stuff. So he would augment his income by singing and like be the ringer in a choir and stuff like that.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So when you grew up on Staten Island, was there a feeling of, oh, this is great, I love this, or was there some early sense of, oh, I'm getting out of this place. As soon as I'm old enough, I'm busting out of this joint.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, when I was like a little kid, I always say this, but I was like, I didn't have a clue about anything. I was just grooving, you know. I didn't care where I was. But then I went to see, when I was about 6 years old, I went to see My Fair Lady with Rex Harrison. And that was it. I was like, oh man, anybody could do that, you know. So then, you know, I started like getting into showbiz, and I mean, not into it, but like noticing it. You know what I mean? I didn't really notice it before that.
Can you tell us how we draw the line from My Fair Lady to the New York Dolls?
Show business, yeah. What was I going to say? I started, you know, when I was like a teenager, a young teenager, I started going to see acts like on Bleecker Street and stuff, like at the Café Carlyle, and like, I would just go see Paul Butterfield Blues Band, and I saw a lot of great acts on Bleecker Street. And I used to go to the Murray the K show. Right. You know, and all the time, you know, I was figuring like, take a little bit of this, I'll take a little bit of that, you know.
You told me, talking about the house you grew up in and growing up in a musical household, you told me a story once that your mom loved a line, her favorite line in music, or one of them, was from the Dylan song, It's All Right, Ma, I'm Only Bleeding.
Yeah, she used to say that. She went through a phase where she would like to just say, even the President of the United States sometimes has to stand naked.
If my mother ever even came close to saying something like that.
Well, she thought it was really funny, you know, that was in a song, so she wanted to reiterate that it was funny.
Yeah. And did you let her know that her hip quotient kind of went, that's pretty good?
No, I never thought of my mother as like unhip, so I didn't have to like, you know, bring up her. I didn't really, you know, say, oh, that you're hip, you're not hip. You know what I mean? I never was like that.
Tell me the name. I read, let's see if I got my notes here. Let's see if we got this correct. The name of the record store on Staten Island, on Port Richmond Avenue.
Dewdale.
There you go. That's correct.
Dewdale.
That's correct for 10 points. What would you do there? What would you get? What kind of records would you
Well,
buy
when I was
there?
a real little kid, I would go and get like stuff in the 10-cent bin because it was like, you know, they had a lot of 45s and they would have to like order them, and then I guess after, if it wasn't a hit, then they would sell it for like a dime. So I got a couple of records doing that, and I think one of the first ones I got was I'm a Tail Dragger by Howlin' Wolf. It was a 45. Right. It wasn't a big hit on Staten Island. I think they were their Sherry Baby phase at that point.
So it's not that many years when you look at it from doing these hoot nights to living in the East Village and creating the New York Dolls.
Yeah, well, there was a time because I went to I guess when I was about 17, I got an apartment for $40 on East 3rd Street. It was a 7th-floor walk-up. And, oh man, we brought a refrigerator up there. I think about it now, I'm just like, oh my God. I was working in a store on St. Mark's Place called Matchless. And there was a fellow there named Lore Wilson. And I used to kind of work in his basement, and it was like they had pop art jewelry and stuff. We would have to get like a metal cutter and cut out like the logo. And then they put holes in it and they would like make earrings out of it and stuff. And that guy, Lore, he was very influential in my life in a lot of ways. But he had these costumes in the basement, and this basement was like, you know, stone, and it was dripping, and there was like moss on it on St. Mark's Place. I mean, it was an ancient building. And but in the midst of that stone backdrop wore these costumes with like sequins and feathers and a gigantic sequined phallus. And I'd always be seeing this stuff, like, what do you do with this stuff, man? And he explained to me that he was making costumes for the Ridiculous Theater, Charles Ludlam's Ridiculous Theater. So I went along with him to, maybe not with him, but I started noticing they would come into the store, some of them, because they were friends of the see how the costumes were coming or whatever. I went with one of them to like a rehearsal or something, and then I was like, oh man, this is great, because it was just like all of like the greatest people that you could imagine, like just like totally like crazy, beautiful, eccentric people, and then they would put on these like really outrageous but like really intellectual plays, but that were really funny. And I just started like hanging around with them, so I started doing sound or whatever I could do for them,
And how did that transfer or eventually lead to the New York
Well, I learned a
Times?
lot about, putting on a show from them, because they all had, jobs if they worked. I mean, it wasn't like they were just like, doing theater, but they would then go on the stage and they would be like these grand characters. I mean, they were characters off stage too, let me tell you, but they would become these different characters.
When the Dolls are established, all right, and are making a name for themselves, both here and beyond New York, your family's still on Staten Island, yes, at that point?
Yeah.
Right. So how did the Dolls play?
They're not quitters.
Well, I think we have our headline for the night. Not quitters, stayed on Staten Island. How did the Dolls' whole vibe play with the folks back on Staten Island?
I mean, I think they probably dug it. Although one time my younger brother, I was talking to him on the phone, and he said, oh, Dave, I went over to the house, and your mother said, oh, David's new record came out. And I said, yeah. And I said, oh, that's great. And then she said, you should see the cover. She was like, but they dug it.
You told me a story.
My father used to say, oh, I know what you guys are doing. You want to be like Cabaret.
You told me a story once about you're recording an album in Manhattan, I believe, and it's not going so great. So you decide, no, it's time for a road trip. It's time for a field trip to kind of break the
Oh, yeah.
whatever.
We went and played, we went to Staten Island, too.
Yeah,
we
and
played
Clove Lake Park
Clove Lake Park.
on Staten Island in full New York Dolls regalia.
Yeah, we all had
right?
like those big platform shoes, and
Right.
we played softball against some locals.
Now, this is quite an image. The picture of
And
you
they
guys
were
kind
like,
of
oh,
showing
you
up.
fags, we're gonna kill you. And we would just say, yeah, just throw the ball. And we killed them.
There you go.
Killed them.
Let's see. You guys were clearly the best
Hey,
softball.
well, Johnny Thunder was a baseball player when he was a kid too, so he could hit it really hard.
That notion of showing, like, forget what we're wearing, we're tough guys. Was that something you guys talked about, or just kind of
No.
like didn't have to talk about it?
No, we didn't even think we were. We just were like, just like New York guys.
Yeah. And did you think at that point, all right, this is it? I'm in
I'm
show
gonna be a
business.
baseball player?
No, that's a good point. That would be good. This is showbiz. I'm in showbiz, and this is it. Or did you already have a sense of, there's something more out there, and there's more music out there, and even while the Dolls are going, I want to try this, and I want to try this.
No. We in the Dolls we would try anything that we could play. So like, I brought a lot of songs to the Dolls, like. Like There's Gonna Be a Showdown, by was an Archie Bell and the Drells song.
Right.
And so they were good for like playing stuff that I wanted to bring to them, because we just needed songs. So I said, oh, I know, let's play this song, and they were always game for that. But when I start, whenever something comes along that catches my ear, then I get into it. It's not like I'm looking for it, it just kind of comes to me. So sometimes I can get a little OC about a genre or an artist or something, and then it kind of takes really my full attention for sometimes, sometimes up to a year, So after the Dolls, I was in a band, the David Johansen band, and we were traveling all the time, and like in a van, and it was horrible. But we were out there, like 250 nights a year or something. We would just go from like town to town to town. And a lot of times we'd be opening for like, in arenas for some popular act of the time. And so a friend of mine gave me a mixtape of Jump Blues, we called it. This is Jump Blues, you should check it out. And it was all that like Central Avenue jazz, and I just like loved it because the songs were like really, most of them were really funny. Mm-hmm. And the music was really syncopated and it really swung. And I got heavily into that. So when I was in New York, I was living on 17th Street, and on 15th Street was a little bar, it was kind of like an Irish bar, but not like so Irish that you wouldn't want to go in there, It was just like, and they had great acts in there. They had a little showroom in the back, and they had like Big Joe Turner and Big J McNeely and Charles Brown, and they would do like residences there. And it was like 2 blocks from my house, so I used to go, and I got friendly with the people there. I decided, what I'm going to do. Monday nights they didn't have any show, so I was going to just do 4 Mondays, and I was going to sing some of these songs, plus some like humorous songs of other genres, like Broadway or something, and a little brush up your Shakespeare or something. And but I didn't want people to come and like start going, oh, David Johansen, funky but chic, So I kind of came up with this conceit of doing it as another name, and it was a great decision, great decision.
There's a clip of you on YouTube on The Tonight Show as Buster Poindexter with Johnny Carson. Mm-hmm. And it looks like you're having the time of your life. Mm-hmm. And it looks like he, who could really appreciate something that was really creative, not just funny and clever, but really creative, it seems like he's buying in and he's loving it. And I've watched that clip a couple times, and it just
yeah, he didn't know like what I was going to do. Like he didn't know where that joke was going. I mean, he knew I was going to like do like a monologue, but
right.
He didn't know where I was going. But yeah, it was really good. When they called me, I think we were in LA, and they said, okay, so they send like a guy who comes and sees your show, and then they decide whether they want to have you on the show. So this guy was saying, Johnny doesn't like to do like characters, he doesn't like to interview characters because like he did like, I don't know who he did, but somebody who was playing a character and he found it unpleasant or something. And I was like, well, it's a different name, but it's not really a character. It's just like me, really. So.
And is that the first time you were on The Tonight Show?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Was Hot, Hot, Hot all of a sudden you do this song, and all of a sudden you can't go anywhere without hearing it? Is that kind of a good thing because it's so popular, or has it become something that kind of bedraggles you because everywhere you go you especially like to sing all these different types of songs?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden people say, oh, you got to sing this song and you got to sing it 200 nights a year.
Well, that's just because it's the only time I think my taste has ever converged with the general public. But, I didn't know. I just heard that song by Arrow, And
Right.
I thought, oh, let's do this song, because it was at the time when we were just getting horns in the band. So if we got horn players, so I'd hear that brass, and I kind of loved that Caribbean kind of horn section where it's just like slightly out of tune, but just like enough to it's a calypso kind of conceit. And so I really liked that song, and we started playing it, and then we made a record, so let's put this on the record, and then it was like a hit. I didn't even know they were going to make a single out of it.
Seemed to work out okay.
Yeah, it was good. That was really good.
So now when you go out, and again, one of the things I respect about you is that you play the music that you want to play. And it seems like you've done that pretty much your whole career. So you have all these different periods, songs, types of songs you can play, you want to play. When you're at the Carlyle, or really anywhere actually, what dictates now, oh, I'm going to do that song from that period, that song from that period, that song from the Harry Smiths maybe? How does it all kind of work?
I don't know. Like I have that thing on my computer with the songs in it, right? And I have all those playlists that you make, And so then I have one really that when I hear a song, I listen to a lot of stuff, but I like to listen to what is it, WOZ in New Orleans? You know that station? Get on the internet. But Saturday nights and certain nights of the week, they just go really, just the most beautiful, to me, I mean, rock and roll, really original rock and roll, you would know Tutti Frutti or something like that, by Little Richard, but this is they play all the bands from New Orleans that you never really even heard of, but from that era on certain shows, and I love that stuff. I love that unbridled enthusiasm. So every once in a while I hear a song there, and I go, oh, I want to find that record, and do that. Or else, I'll hear, I don't know how I hear them, but, because some songs I have that I haven't sung yet that I already know, and then I'll hear another song that might take precedence over it, so I'll do that first,
When people come up to you and talk to you, is there a particular period of your career that usually they still focus on, of the different times in your lives, different genres you've been part of?
Bud.
I think I like this answer already.
I have this kind of, I think, my wife, Mara, has pointed out to me that I have different recognition factors with different people. So one guy will come up to me and say, oh, I love you and let it ride. Usually it's some kind of degenerate gambler, OTB habitué, kind of a guy. And so there's people who have seen me in different movies but have never seen other movies that I'm in. You know what I mean? They have one movie that they kind of fixate on. So I meet people like that, and then I meet people who like Buster, and then I like people who like the New York Dolls. So it's different. It's different. It depends on who I'm talking to.
Now there's a guitar here. Conveniently enough, it's mine. Now, I've interviewed many people in my time, but you were the only one to ever ask, at least on the 92nd Street Y stage, to accompany them on a song.
Yeah.
Which instantly makes you my favorite guest ever. So
I said, does Bud play guitar? And they said, yeah, he plays guitar. And I said, well, what? I should pay a musician?
You can do that? You can. So shall we give it a whirl?
What song do you want to play?
Inagata Davida?
Okay.
Excellent. Okay.
Oh, I think we're going to use this, right? Which one? locking your door, leaving me out in the cold. Yeah, I've been bought, and baby, I've been sold. And I need protection from the cold. You may think that my humanity have been the cause of all this insanity. This whole damn world's got so much uncertainty. I sure wish you'd see something in me. Yeah, you think I'm a whore, but I got a heart of gold. You're locking your doors, you're leaving me out in the cold. Yeah, I've been bought and baby, I've been sold. And I need protection from the cold. All right. You may think my humanity has been the cause of all this insanity. This whole damn world's got so much uncertainty. I sure wish you'd see something in me. I'm a whore, but I got a heart of gold. You're locking your door, you're leaving me out in the cold. I've been born, baby, I've been sold, and I need protection from the cold. I need protection from the cold. I need protection from the cold. That was first class, bud. First class. Thank you. Bud. Mishkin, I believe his name is.
For the purposes of tonight's audio tape, please be seated. Oldest gag in the world. We think of you as a performer. How about songwriting for you?
I wrote that song.
I know. So a particular way that it works best for you, a particular place? Do you sit down, I'm going to write a song? Or is it not
No. I'm not that kind of a songwriter. You know, like some people who have like, okay, I'm a singer-songwriter or something, right? Then, you know, they can concentrate on writing songs. So they can get up in the morning and
Right.
Sit down at the typewriter or whatever and write. And then, you know, cull the best information from that. But I cannot do that because I'm busy. But, you know, I get one pops in my head, then I think, oh, that's pretty good. If I really can find a pencil or something, I'll write it down, you know. But as far as like writing songs, like when there's a record, like I just, up until, I don't know, a couple of years ago, 2 years ago or something, I was with a reconstituted New York Dolls. And we made 3 CDs.
That was based, or at least initially, at the urging of Morrissey, right?
Right.
Who was the president of your fan club the first time around?
He was in England, or in Manchester, or on Jones Street in Manchester. I can't remember. But anyway, when we started making a record, then, okay, we're going to make a record, and then I would, like, write a lot, you know, write a lot of songs. And I seemed to be most suited for writing, like, you know, under the gun.
Those records were very well received.
Very well.
So,
very good records.
There you go. So,
very musical.
At that time, is it like, is it, all right, we're doing this again, or, I mean, how'd you feel about it at that point? Were you happy to be back doing it again, or?
Well, you know, when if I'd have known that we were going to do that, go do it for like 8 years, I mean, we'll probably do it again sometime, but
right.
If I'd have known we were going to do that and be on the road all the time, I would have never done it. But we just did one gig.
Right.
This fancy gig in England, you know, in the Royal Festival Hall, and it sold out really fast, so then they added another one. So we did 2 shows, and they always really loved New York Dolls in England, right? So then we did it, and that was like cool. But then, you know, it's just like for a laugh, for a weekend. And then they were like booking all the festivals for the summer, you know, it was like May or something when we did that. So they asked if we would play this one and that one and the other one. We thought, well, let's do that. That'll be fun, you know. And then it just like kept going and going and going. So then we started making records. But you know, if you see something in advance, it would be would be pulling the covers open.
I believe they're going around with cards for questions, which we'll get to in just a couple of minutes. As a matter of fact, there we go. Thanks, Susan. While I sift through these cards, every one a gem, will you tell the story about getting arrested in Memphis?
Oh, God.
No.
Well,
because it's funny.
It was funny, I guess. We played, the New York Dolls played in Memphis at the Memphis Civic Center. Kind of looks like Alice Tilly Hall or something. And we were flying there from, I don't know where we were, but we read in the newspaper that they were, some, you know, right-wing thing was going on about the New York Dolls, so we were like, oh, man.
You remember what year this is?
73, I guess.
Okay.
Maybe 4. It was real old-fashioned down there in those days. I don't know how it is now, but let me tell you, it was like, 1974 was like 1932 down there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So,
we'll make sure to take this show on the road down to Memphis and make sure to say that.
well, no, they know. They know. So anyway, I played it really safe, man. I just wore this like simple kind of like black suit and a tie, pair of Capezios. You know, I was gonna be running around in high heels if, like, you know, the shit was gonna hit the finger. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, and not only that, Iggy Pop opens for us, right? And he's like half naked, he's bleeding, he's falling into the audience, and you name it. Okay, yeah. And then we come out like really sedate, like really playing it cool. And the kids get up and they start like coming down the front, you know, because they want to dance and rah-rah, you know. And the cops start beating on him. There's cops all over the place, like these cops from the civil rights era. You know what I mean? So I happened to mention that the kid the cop was beating could very well be the mayor's kid, and then he would be, in trouble on Monday. And I don't remember exactly what words I used, but it was something to that effect. And
cops weren't into the sarcasm,
these
apparently.
cops came and arrested me on the stage and put me in handcuffs and everything. I was like, well, you gotta be kidding. And so then so I'm like, I might have exaggerated the plainness of my suit, but it was kind of like a Liza Minnelli kind of suit. So they put me in jail down there.
Under the heading of questions I really never thought I'd ask, what is it like to be in a Memphis jail dressed like Liza Minnelli?
But you probably don't know what jail is like. So I don't even know why I'm asking. Let me tell you what it's like. It stinks, and it's like everything smells like Lysol, So I went in there, and I got the fingerprints, and all the guys are laughing. I'm going, yeah. I was like, you wouldn't do this to Elvis, and this cop says, we'd love to get him. So I was like, you can't win in this town, you know what I mean?
We'd love to.
So then they take me to the cell, and there's two guys in there already. It's like two bunks. So I get in this bunk, and it's like army blanket, God knows what it is, this lousy thing. And I just pull it up over me, like I'm just gonna wait it out till somebody comes with the bail. This guy wakes up and he goes, oh man, David Johansen. And the other guy who's sleeping is like a bear. I mean, he's like, he's huge. I'm just like, be cool, man, be cool. And then he wakes the guy up. And he's going, look, it's David Johansen. And the guy's looking like, what? He's so pissed off that this guy woke him up. He had no idea who I was. And I'm just under the covers like, oh, God. It's one of the times that I really had great hope that there was a God.
And on that note, here we go. Great. Dressed in like Liza Minnelli in a Memphis jail. Love that. Here we go. What are your recollections of being on the set of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
What did we have? I don't know.
It's,
was it some rumor that I was in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, but I wasn't.
untrue.
I think some kid looked like me or something.
That would be cool. That would be cool. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, you know what? I'll just, if I were, we'll just use it anyway. Yeah, sure. Why? Let's.
Oh, and Guess
Yeah, of
Who's
course.
Coming to Dinner, I played the part of
There you go.
Beauregard.
You were Spencer Tracy's understudy, right? Excellent. All right. Are the dolls featured in the upcoming HBO show Vinyl, or is the music just used in the promo?
I think, there's a scene, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but where what's the guy's name who's the star of that show? Yeah, Bobby Cannavale is the star, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's going to give you like a synopsis. He's like this really old school record company guy in New York, like one of these guys who would be friends with Morris Levy, And he goes to see the dolls play, and in the first episode, I believe.
This one.
And then it's insanity goes on, but
This one.
everybody's going to watch that show. It's like you don't have to hype it. It's going to be like the greatest show on earth, right?
This has 4 questions, so you can answer any and all. All right, 4-part question. What were you a top 40 radio enthusiast as a kid? 1. What were some of the first concerts you went to as a kid? 2. Did you go to the Fillmore East as a youth? That's pretty good. Do you ever plan on a residency in Las Vegas? You ever play bass?
I have played in Las Vegas, yeah.
As Buster?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Oh, yeah, I mean, actually, the Dolls have played there too, but not. But with Buster, it was like in a casino with the Dolls. It was like at like a tractor pull.
I was going to say, I don't see the Dolls playing at Caesar's Palace. That'd be an interesting
But
juxtaposition.
now they do. They do those concerts now.
Yeah.
But they don't do residences of rock bands. I don't think. Probably.
Ever go to the Fillmore East?
I used to go there quite often.
Yeah. Any show
Several
that stands
times a
out?
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was just the greatest because they would have 3 completely disparate acts. And it was like $2 or $3 or something. It was really a good place. They had, it was like now, you see like 3 bands that are doing the exact same thing on a bill, but this would be like, you'd see Ray Charles and The Who and Miles Davis or something,
That's pretty good. Pretty good. This is from Donald in the Bronx. Ever find that kiss?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. There you go. A yes/no answer. There you go. We're all set. We are big fans and have seen all your bands, the New York Dolls, David Johansen Group, Harry Smith's. We have seen Buster 20 times, and love it. Will you be doing any of the others ever again?
Yeah, well, I just sang on Saturday with Brian Coonan, he's like the musical director in the Poindexter band. He keeps the band ship-shape, top-notch. I wish, no. Me and him do an acoustic kind of act. We just did it up at some festival in Mamaroneck on Saturday, and we do it, a couple of times a month here and there. And we do a lot of songs that I've written,
Right.
as well as some of the Harry Smith's type songs.
You've got Café Carlyle coming up, yes?
We're opening at the Café Carlyle on next Tuesday,
Nice.
a week from tomorrow, and we're going to be there for 2 weeks.
Wow. What was the first time you played there?
The first time I played there was it was Halloween. They tried us out on Halloween as a late show, and
Doing
it was
Buster?
Great, doing Buster.
Right.
And then I think I did one more one-off there, and then we did a week, and then in February we did 2 weeks, and now we're going to do 2 weeks again with a whole new show.
Yeah.
It's not like we're doing the same show we did in February. It's like all different songs and different amusing anecdotes. They come from the same wall of the same cave, but they're different than the ones I told
They're the
last
amusing ones. When you first played Café Carlyle, is there some sense of, hey, this ain't chopped liver here. This is it's a part of your history.
I like it because it's, if you get to do, what do? We do 6 shows because we do 5 nights and 2 shows on Saturday. Then we take Sunday off. Then on Monday they have Woody Allen, and then we do it again. And to do that without having to travel every morning,
Right.
you get up when you're good and ready. It's nice.
Somehow it beats the 200 nights in a van playing in hockey
Oh,
arenas.
yeah. I mean, I wish I just had that memory, but I hadn't actually done it.
So not doing it and telling the stories about it, that would be perfect. In addition to always moving forward and finding new material, do you ever give in to any urge to listen in private to your 1970s and 80s work? And if so, what songs still hold meaning for you?
You mean like from the Johansen band days?
Or I guess even from the
I do a
songs?
lot of those songs, in that act I was telling you about with
Yeah.
Brian. And I don't know if it'll be like the next time I play the Carlisle or maybe the time after that. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm going to see how this one goes, but we may do a Buster Does Johansen.
You talked once about doing a
I
David
have to
Jo-
charge twice as much.
Yeah, David Jo. That'd be good. That'd be good. Will you be in situations where all of a sudden you'll hear an old song, be it from Buster or be it from the New York Dolls, and John Lennon once said whenever he hears the songs, be it on the radio or whatever, he only hears the mistakes. If you happen upon one, will you listen to it? Will you analyze it? Or will you just, no, that's done, that's 30 years ago, I'm moving on?
I mean, like, I don't even know, like, mistakes. It's like, I don't really know what they are because there's probably so many mistakes that you couldn't really keep track of them all. But, just to give you an example, sometimes, like, we'll do a song like Rocket 88 by Jackie Brenston. And we want to make it really like that New Orleans thing I was telling you about before, that feeling of really unbridled hilarity. And we will actually notate the mistakes and do them because, some people consider mistakes, you could hear them maybe in a pristine kind of pop song or something, but if you're doing like rock and roll and jazz and stuff like that, there's really no much such thing as a mistake.
Were the Dolls a fun time? Was that period
Which one?
enjoyable? The first time, or was
First time, it was great.
Was there ever a feeling like, this kind of could be out of control, or this could be close to out of control, or did you always have a?
It was
feeling
always
that-
out of control, but I loved that.
Oh, okay.
I would thrive on chaos. I could always be like the calm in the middle of the insanity. It was like I was kind of like Robert Duvall in Apocalypse Now.
I was thinking, which movie you're going to go for?
Where he's like walking through the field and bombs are going off all around him, and he's like, "All right, you guys, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna clean this out, and then we're gonna surf."
Good thing you wouldn't be Robert Duvall in Godfather, because then you'd be out of the band.
You'd be out of what?
Out of the band. It's like Pacino says to him, "Sorry, you're out, Tom." So it's better that it's Apocalypse Now. When you were doing it, thought I'd throw that in.
You know what I liked about it? You committed. You started it, and you just said, "You know what? For better or for worse."
That's right. This bit's going nowhere, and I am going to grind it into the
committed.
ground. When you're in the Dolls, one last thing about the Dolls, and that is, when you're doing it, is it, hey, we've got our following, that's great, this is going to be it?
Yeah.
Or is it, oh man, ELO sold this amount of records, or Sex Pistols sold this amount of records. Was your eye on that, or was your eye on, we're going to do what we're going to do, a lot of people are going to like it, and whatever happens, happens?
My eye was normally like on a cocktail.
How'd that work out?
It was great for a while.
Yeah. Couple last ones. You all, I think, talked about this. In your opinion, will the New York Dolls reunite again? And the fan says you were.
Yeah, well,
great when
the
did.
only people from the New York Dolls, the original New York Dolls, that are still, taking in air are Sylvain and myself.
Mm-hmm.
So
There you go.
we may.
There you go. What are you listening to now? And that's kind of goes with the other question, which is, who are some of the newer artists you're listening to? Also, favorite venue as a performer and as a fan. Let's go with that one first. Is there a favorite place that you really thought this is the place?
I can't remember. I mean, we were playing at the City Winery this summer. We did a little, like once a month kind of residence there. And it's a pretty cool place.
That's nice.
You can go, you can have a pretty good meal. And if you want, they got a lot of like crazy wine you could drink. And, it's clean. And everybody seems to have a good time. So I went there to see Billy Joe Shaver, And that was, for me, that was like a spiritual experience. So I could be biased towards the place because I had such a revelation there.
Want to do one more?
Sure.
All right.
If the audience will sing with us.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Before they got this new groovy Pope, who's he's playing the Garden this week, I think.
Right. Friday night.
They had this German guy, went by the name of Ratzinger. Very strict, very judgmental, from what I could surmise. So I used to say during the Dolls concerts, when he was the Pope, I would say to the audience, that would be like, I would say, how are you kids grooving on that German Pope? And they would just go like, huh? And then I would say, well, do you like pills? And they would say, yay! That was just how I used to introduce this particular song. Rock and roll nurse went to my head. She said, hold out your arms and stick out your tongue. I got some pills, boy, and I'm gonna give you some. Sing like this. To my head, she went to my head. Rock and roll nurse gone to my head. It to my head, to my head. Well, I was lying in the hospital bed. You give me pills for my leg, that didn't ache. Pills for my heart, but a little too late. Some pills for my love to put me at ease. This rock and roll nurse shook me down to my knees. She went to my head, to my head. Rock and roll nurse gone to my head, yeah, to my head, to my head. Well, I was lying in a hospital bed. I can tell it. To my head, to my head. A rock and roll nurse gone to my head. To my head, to my head. Well, I was lying in a hospital bed. I said, nursey, nurse, I can't see. I don't dig this job that you're giving me. You give me a pill, then you give me a shot. You got me wondering what is worse I've got. You went to my head, to my head. A rock and roll nurse gone to my head. Whoa, to my head, to my head. Well, I was lying in a hospital bed. Oh, doctor, doctor, run here and see. Don't dig this jive this nurse giving me. She gives me a shot, then gives me a pill. She's got me taking this junk against my will. She's gone to my head. Oh, the rock and roll nurse gone to my head. To my head, to my head. Well, I was lying in a hospital bed. Thank you, bud. And thank you. Oh. Thank you. Ah.
What we got here?
Yeah, have a grape.
All right, have a good.
They're, for the most part, seedless. They're Monsanto grapes.
When you were growing up, you talked about a little bit at the start in terms of Staten Island, but could you dream any of what transpired? Did you have some notion of I'm talented, I like the stage, I like to perform, here's what's out there, or was it all kind of a big mystery?
I wasn't really like one of those kids, you know. Today, like, kids go to, like, you know, school for this stuff, you know. And, like, guys I used to know teach it. But,
What high school did you go to? Port Richmond?
no, I mean, you know, guys who, like, you know, were in bands or were on Broadway or whatever, you know. So, no, but I didn't really think about it. I mean, when I used to think when I was a kid, like, I can't remember who it was. When I was like 16 or something, there was something in the paper like, Phil Spector is a millionaire at 24. So I was like, okay, that's good. I'll be a millionaire when I'm 24. But then, you know, I forgot about it. Because, you know, plans are like, to me, I'm not a plan person because you can, like, make a plan and stick to it. And then you find that you've become the person that you used to want to be, as opposed to being, you know, who you are or who you should be, you know, at any given moment. So, you know, things come along that I find interesting, then I can get involved with them. And if I don't find anything interesting, then I'll make something up to do, you know. So it's not like some kind of, what's the word? It's not like that commercial, you know, like, oh, you gotta be like this. And
Or strategic?
like that. Yeah, whatever, yeah.
So at this point, as we start...
You know, I mean, I get stuff done. Like, we're doing a Buster record now that's from the last show at the Carlyle. It's going to be like really good. If the guy who's mixing it wasn't such a, what's the word, you know, fastidious, I mean, to a fault. He's like, ooh.
Fastidious, just for the record, was better than I was hoping for. Not hoping for. Better than I was expecting.
Oh, no, what I mean is he's taking great care when he's mixing. So I'm like biting at the bit, like, let's get this thing and put it out and then make another one, you know.
I think what you need on the record is an extra acoustic guitar.
You know, we already recorded it.
Hate when that happens. One last thing, and that is, at this stage...
I would have had you on that record.
Because I come cheap, apparently.
I would have got rid of the guy I'm paying, yeah.
Okay, so maybe he can play 5 chords. Yeah, big shot. So at this point, you've meant a lot to a lot of people for a long time. Are you a reflective guy about all this music and these different genres of music and these different periods of your career and life? Or is it pretty much, that's great, concentrate on what I'm doing now, concentrate on moving forward?
Yeah, pretty much. You know, I don't really think about it too much. I just like do what I do, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't really think about it. Like, you know, sometimes I'll go out to some kind of a function or something, and somebody will make a fuss or something, and I'll be like, you know, like, who are they talking about? You know. So.
Well, I think they're talking about you. And the beauty of it, I always thought, in terms
They
of...
might either talking about me or they're talking about Buster. But
Yeah. Well,
guess if there's been any trouble or misbehavior, I'm pretty sure it was Buster,
there you go.
not me.
Yeah.
Although he may say the same thing about me, I don't know. You'll have to ask him yourself.
Buster Poindexter sings David Johansen. Love that. You know, I've always thought the beauty of music or movies or any of the arts, especially music, is you don't know where the tentacles extend. You know, somewhere tonight, some 16-year-old kid might pick up a New York Dolls album or CD or whatever. Or a Buster.
They're ubiquitous.
Yeah, or Buster Poindexter. You just don't know how it's affecting people still in a positive way. And that's about as good as it gets. That's a beautiful
Yeah,
thing.
well, that's a good way to live, you know, trying to do something positive. I mean, there's so much like, you know, it's like I have a radio show that's on Sirius on Sunday afternoon, and I just decided, you know, I'm just going to make this like positive. Like, I'm not going to talk shit about anything, you know, because there's so much crap and negativity in the air all the time that you really have to do something other than that to kind of, like, you know, balance it out. Because some people, if they just constantly hear negativity, they get brainwashed into being negative, you know. So I try to do positive stuff because I'm a positive person. I mean, I'm like, I always think everything is going to be great.
Do you think the whole thing would have been different had you been born and raised somewhere other than New York?
I have no idea. What kind of question is that? That's like...
It's a brilliant question.
If I would imagine that if... what year did they start Israel?
That would be 1948.
Okay, 1948, guys.
Wow, that wasn't the response I was expecting.
That's really good.
Okay,
so if I was born in... I was just wondering if I could be born there. So if I was born in Israel, I would probably work on a kibbutz for a while, and then I would... I'd probably get into politics. Not Likud, though.
That's a whole other discussion.
But, you know, you can't tell it where you're born because, you know, the trajectory of one's life occurs in moments, you know what I mean, in seconds. So it doesn't matter really who you are or where you are, but if you are open to it and then you get just like an idea or something that rises you up, and then you go like, wow, and then you go in that direction, you know, then that's all it takes, really. Right? And I think most people's lives, whatever they do is like that because they get an interest, you know what I mean? So, like when I was a kid, I loved music so much, you know. I used to get in the car and sit in the back of this old DeSoto, and my father would drive, and I remember the seats were really scratchy, you know, they had like what they felt like horsehair or something. And turn on that radio, and I'd be like, this is great, because I just loved music, you know. I heard like, when I was 5 years old, I think I heard like Fats Domino on the car radio, and I was like, wow, this is fantastic, you know.
Well,
and if it was a song I didn't like we used to call some of the stations my parents used to listen to, like, I don't know, you remember like WPAT? It was like easy listening. We used to call it suicide radio. What's going on in the house? They're listening to suicide radio. You don't want to go in there, you know. So they sing like really maudlin songs, remember? So I don't like hear that. If I don't like something, I don't hear it really. And if I like something, all of a sudden I go like, what's that? You know?
Well, there are certain New Yorkers who just make this city just more interesting. And it's been my pleasure at New York One to interview a lot of them and on this stage, but nobody more interesting than David Johansen.
Oh, Bud. What a guy.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for the music. Thank you for the performances. And thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Come over to the Café Carlyle.
Thanks, folks.
Have a cocktail. Thanks, Bud.